What's up, everyone? It's Tyler here, and today I'm doing the first video of a little series of videos that I'm going to be doing about traits that will take you far in life and business. And I'm super excited about this, and at the moment I have today's and a few more in mind, and I may think of some other things as I go, but I'm really excited about this, and I'm going to get right to it. Today's video is all about consistency. Consistency, because consistency is one of the most important traits among successful people in life, in family, in business, and even hobbies and interests. And people that just seem to be good at a lot of things are really great at something that's completely outside of the scope of what they do for a living or what they primarily do. And so I want to talk all about consistency, because in today's society, it's almost such a lame, not cool word. In this age of TikTok and Facebook and Instagram reels, like where people just want to be entertained by the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, nobody is getting viral views over a video about something as boring as consistency. But let me tell you something. Among people who are successful, the people that have the life that you want to have, that do the stuff that you want to do, that have the things that you want to have, that live where you want to live, that travel where you want to travel, consistency is one of the most important traits that 99+% of those people have. So let's talk about it. I want to walk through some examples to make my point as simple and clear as possible. So, if you want to learn to play guitar, awesome. I love guitar. I play guitar. I've been playing for over 20 years. It's so much fun. It's great. I love it. So, if you want to learn to play guitar and you become obsessed and you just play all day, every day, 10, 12 hours, you push through the pain of the hurting on your fingertips because you're brand new and you don't have calluses, but you just sit there on the couch and you just continue to play and play and play hour after hour, day after day, but for a week, and then stop. Well, that's not going to get you very far. Now let's look at another scenario. You want to play guitar. You have the same desire and passion as the first scenario. And you start sitting down for 30 minutes a day, most days, not even every day. And when you don't get to sit down one day, you don't beat yourself up. You just pick up the guitar and you play for 20, 30, 40 minutes. Some days it's an hour. Some days it's only 10 or 15 minutes. Some weekends you don't even pick it up because you're busy having fun and living your life. And you do that for a long, long time. Let me ask you a question. In those two scenarios, who's going to be better at guitar a few years down the road? Well, obviously, the answer is the second scenario, the person in scenario number 2, and that is because of consistency. You see, if you compare those two people to one another and you look at the first week, well, of course, the person the first week looks like they're going to be the next Van Halen, the next Jimi Hendrix, the next Satch, and the person B is just going to be a total flop. But you go a few years down the line, and the person that's going to be really great at guitar is the person that simply stuck with it and was consistent over a long period of time. And that is the definition of consistency. It's doing something for a long period of time. It doesn't mean you're doing it 24/7. It means you're doing it to some degree for a long, long time. And that is where experts are forged. That is where winners are forged. That is where success is forged. That is where dreams become reality, is in daily, consistent actions towards your goals. And so I want to share a few more examples. So right now, this is the 4th week tonight that I will be playing in church league softball, and it's the first time that I've ever done anything since I played baseball as a kid growing up into high school. So, who's going to get better at baseball or softball? A person that gets really, really obsessed for a week or a month or a season, or a person that for years and years and years goes out a few times a week, a couple times a week, and throws the ball and catches the ball and fields a few balls and takes a little batting practice every single week, week in, week out, into adulthood, through their 20s, through their 30s, versus someone that shows up and just tries to do it all for a little while, for a week or for one season, and then doesn't do anything in the off season until the next season. The person who is consistent is going to become and remain the better player season after season after season after season because of consistency. And here is a beautiful thing about it. It will get to a point where that person continues to put in a decent, consistent effort, but will be better than a player that tries to come along and give it 110%, an unrealistic amount of attention for a short period of time, but they will not become as good, as dependable, as solid of a player as the person that just stays consistent. So while this person's continuing to just go out and put in a little bit of time every week, maintaining what they've developed, another player trying to come in and put in all this practice and get blisters all over their glove hand and from batting and their throwing hand, and they're going to do all of that, but they're still not going to be as good of a player because they simply cannot accomplish what the other person has accomplished via consistency over a long period of time in such a short period of time, even if it's all they do. If they give 100% of their time to it, they still won't become as good as the other person. I love that. I absolutely love that because consistency will give you an edge that somebody else can't just come along and take away from you easily. Because see, when you've been doing something for a really, really long time consistently, somebody can't come along and in a week or a month give it 24 hours in a day, which is unrealistic because like they have to sleep. Even if they stay up for 3 or 4 days straight, they still have to sleep. Like they can't give it 24 hours in a day. Maybe they could give it 18 or 16 or 12 or 10 or 8. But even if they could give it 24 hours a day for a couple of weeks, they could not begin to catch up to you. So consistency gives you an edge and solidifies you in your position. And someone can't just come along and knock you off with one swift, short, extreme effort. Let's talk about the gym for a minute. If you've been working out, if you've been lifting, if you've been sculpting your body for years in the gym, even somebody with an excellent genetic predisposition to put on muscle and have a good built physique, even if they have muscle memory and they go and buy, $1,000 of supplements and they're going to do everything to the letter right, they can't come lift weights for 2 weeks and look like you. It's just not possible. They cannot come and knock you off. If you've been working on your max on bench for years and every week you have a low rep session where you're pushing against that max, and even though you're at the point of diminishing returns where it takes a while for you to get another 5 pounds on your max, they're starting from scratch and they can't come in a week or a month or even a year and get to where you are simply because you've been consistent. And you've been consistent for so long and over such an amount of time that even if they do come in and put a very, very high effort in, they simply don't have the time to catch up to you. Something I learned getting my bachelor's degree in psychology, in the class Psychology of Learning, was about how we learn. And we learned that when it comes to studying and learning, it is far better to study an hour a day for 7 days than it is to study 7 hours in one day. The retention difference between those two scenarios is so incredibly different. And it has to do with the way our attention spans work. We remember the first 15 to 30 minutes and the last 15 to 30 minutes, but we often lose what's in the middle. So when you're studying, it's better to study for an hour, take a break. Study for an hour, take a break, and really only try to do that a couple of times a day. And if you do that multiple times a week, and you do that for a week or a month or a year, you will learn and retain a lot more than just trying to sit down and maybe read an entire book in 2 days, once a month or once every 6 months or once a year, compared to the person that sits down every day and consistently reads 10 pages or 30 minutes or an hour of a book. Again, that consistent effort over time nets significantly more results than someone can achieve with a short burst of trying to read 2 books in a week and then not do anything for the rest of the year. Online courses, which is the world that I live in. If one person, if 2 people buy a course and person A in the first week sits down and does nothing but that, goes through multiple videos a day for hours a day, taking notes, and gets 80% of the way through in a week and then stops and doesn't come back to it the next week, and then a month goes by, and then 6 months goes by, and then it's the month of the next year that they bought it in the previous year, versus person B that buys the course and starts to go through it, and every day when they have time in their day, they go through a few videos and they go all the way through the course, and then they're ready to take action, so they start going through it again and taking action on the things that they are learning. Well, if you look at that first week, of course, it looks like the person A is zealous and they're just going to take this course and they're going to blow it up and become the next success story and do all the things, right? But person B is going to win because they just take bite-sized pieces every day, and they keep coming back and keep coming back and keep being consistent in learning and then in doing. So never forget about the power of consistency. Consistency is simply doing something and sticking with it for a long time. Eventually, it'll take you much further than quick bursts of effort and action towards anything will. And eventually, no one will be able to catch up to you, because even if they give it a valiant effort, they will not be able to catch up on the compound success that you've had from making small deposits for so long. You know, I think about compound interest and how if like a 20-year-old opens a Roth IRA and contributes the $5,000 a year just from age 20 to 25 and stops, a person that's 25 opens one and contributes $5,000 a year for the rest of their life until they're 65 and they draw it. The person that just did it from 20 to 25 and the compound on just that is more than the person that started at age 25. I learned that from Dave Ramsey and his books and resources, the Financial Peace University, as well as, I can't even remember the name of his book. It wasn't the Financial Peace book, one of the other ones. There's something about the baby steps. I just want to share the resources where I get my information from. It's powerful. So consistency creates a compound effect. I call it compound success. Man, how did this person just in 5 or 10 years after high school become such an expert and leader in their industry? Compound success. They started taking action. They just started reading. They started going online and learning all they could about something. They bought books and resources and learned all they could about it. They found people who were doing it and bought their courses or paid for their time to talk with them and ask them questions and learn. And then they made a game plan and they started taking action. They did it when no one was patting them on the back and no one was applauding them. They just made a cup of coffee, sat down at the computer, and put in the work. And they made little deposits for a long time. Their compound success now would take somebody new a lot of effort and probably an impossible amount of effort to catch up to them very quickly. So their position is very solidified. And I think that that is absolutely powerful. And I'm telling you, that is something that 99+% of people who are successful in anything that you're looking up to, anyone that you're looking up to, or anything that you want that other people have, consistency got them there. So these videos that I'm going to make about these super boring traits, things like consistency and commitment, that's a spoiler for the next one, are very, very important. These are principles that have helped people succeed for centuries, for millennia, for as long as people have been around. It doesn't matter about the present day culture and things that are working right now. These are things that would work for people before the internet and now with the internet, and even as things change, Facebook to Instagram to YouTube, then Snapchat, then TikTok, and things like Clubhouse, and just all these things come along. Platforms come and go, products come and go, culture changes, people's interests change, but successful people, at the core of whatever they're doing, it's traits and values and things like this that contribute to their success. So consistency is doing something for a long period of time. And guess what? 99% of your competition will quit. All these big ideas that are happening around us, there are probably thousands or tens of thousands, maybe even millions of people that had the same idea, the same thought, but that person took action on it, and they took action on it and were consistent until they got there. And that's what makes them the one person out of those thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people who could have easily told you the same thing, but they did it. Consistent action will separate you from 99.9% of everyone else. And then guess what? There's plenty of room for that 0.1% that's left. So thanks for checking out this video, and I look forward to dropping the next one. And I will drop a link if you're interested in making passive income online, and just as soon as I say that, somebody will come out of the woodworks and say there's no such thing as passive income. Great, cool, believe what you want to, but if you want to learn how to make passive income online, that is exactly what my business partner and I do and teach. We do what we teach, and we teach what we do. And we've got a webinar talking about a lot of the cool stuff that we do, and I'm going to drop a link to that for you guys that just are interested in doing something, especially right now in this crazy economy and things going on. Now is a good time to think about something to earn income outside of your main gig, so that as things change, maybe you lose a job or your role changes or your company is struggling or whatever, it's always good to have more than one stream of income. And so we teach how to build multiple streams of income online, passively, do the work once and it's done, and it's absolutely beautiful. I'll drop a link to that for you guys just to check it out if you are interested. Thanks for listening to me talk about consistency. This stuff has made such an impact in my life and has given me absolute freedom now for what will be 5 years in just over a month. 5 years that I moved my family out here to Austin, Texas by choice, just because we wanted to be here. 5 years of meeting incredible people and having incredible relationships and being home every single day and being free to do what I want to do. My wife is home. My boys are home. It is amazing. And so if you want that, well, let us